morning, everyone, and welcome back to the MetReport. I'm Anissa Mohdreza.
And I'm Alexander Petrich. This is the premier news broadcast of MSU Denver and the Auraria campus. Let's get started. Last week, MSU released its findings from the last 6 months of data collected by Workday, a software system that the college has used to manage employees, track timesheets, and hire new personnel. The findings cover data collected between July of 2022 and June of 2023, marking a year since the system's implementation. The data only covers faculty and administrative employees, leaving out adjunct faculty, student employees, and other temp workers. Positive trends in the data included relatively low turnover rates, a well-balanced workforce, and quick turnaround filling vacant positions. Exit surveys from departing employees did, however, illustrate some concerns, with several listing that morale in departments was low and that they didn't feel valued as employees.
This week, the MSU Denver Theater Department is putting on a play called Girls Like That, written by Evan Placey. Girls Like That is being performed in MSU Denver Studio Theater in the King Center. The play follows a group of teenage girls as they navigate the dangers of technology, battling rumors, and damaged reputations. The production debuted on November 9th with additional shows on the 11th and the 16th. But the theater patrons are in luck as additional performances of Girls Like That will go throughout the weekend, including tonight at 7:30, Saturday at the same time, and Sunday afternoon at 2:30. If you are an MSU Denver student, the play is free to enter. For the general public, tickets are $21 and $11 for children, senior citizens, and non-MSU students.
This past week marked the 9th annual Auraria Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. With help from the 3 colleges on campus, events focused on helping students experiencing food and housing insecurity. The week began with speaker presentations from local leaders and community organizers who addressed how the city and state can better aid people experiencing food and housing issues. Thursday afternoon saw the culmination of the week with a resource fair in the Tivoli's Barrison Ballroom. With free groceries, clothes, menstrual and personal health products, and EBT signups, the fair was a valuable event for struggling students and members of the Auraria community. And while turnout for these events was high, not everyone on campus was able to make it. But the Auraria Sustainable Campus Program and the Health Center at Auraria are involved on campus year-round.
That's very cool. I mean, the ASCP has a free store in their office in Tivoli Room 346 where they give out clothes, household items, sexual health products, and they even have an app called Share Meals, which alerts students of leftover food at events around campus.
The Auraria Health Center at 955 Lawrence Way Plaza is welcome to all students and offers a variety of medical services while taking most major insurance providers, including Medicaid. On a different note, as crime rises in Denver, the question arises, for students on campus, what is AHEC doing in order to keep us safe?
I mean, that's right, Alex, and as many students saw in their emails, they were sent an email regarding the annual safety report, which basically summarizes some key factors in our campus safety. I got more on this story. Safety is the most important aspect of college campuses. As a tri-institutional organization, it's important for us to understand what the Auraria Higher Education Center, as well as the campus police department, are doing to keep thousands of students safe. The annual report covers topics from robbery to sexual assault, going into depth about the statistics from 2020 to 2022, with changes in all categories throughout time. For instance, theft and burglary rose over the 3 years, while aggravated assault stayed relatively the same. If you remember earlier this semester, students were warned about needing an ID to access certain buildings. But we talked to Jason Mollender and asked why only certain buildings have enforced this rule.
So the reason why is this was a tri-institutional initiative. All 3 schools on campus wanted to make sure that people were safe. And so when they assessed which buildings needed to be locked and the only key card, a lot of it was, were there areas in those buildings where the public would need access to? So you specifically said the JSSB. If you need to register for classes, if you need to get financial aid, if you want more information about Metro, that's where you go to get it. So locking them out of that building could prevent people from being able to get the access to become a Metro student, right?
Another topic that came up in conversation with Mollender was how the city environment affects what goes on campus. He claimed that it is a nationwide trend that affects everyone.
If we look at a nationwide trend, crime is up, and that does obviously have an impact on us as well. We're in the downtown Denver area. So when crime goes up in the area, you're going to see an uptick on campus. What I will say, though, is campus is much safer than the surrounding areas.
The report includes information about many clauses and promises being made to students about campus safety, with the ending 5 pages showing easy-to-read stats. When next year's report comes out, we will see if promises were kept to lower crime rates.
Stay tuned as we take a look at the rise in food prices around the holidays.
Governor Polis unveils his new budget plan.
And an MSU Denver basketball player wins an honor from the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference.
All of this and more after the break.
It's fine that other people like you. It's more important that you like yourself. And I'm comfortable with every part of me. Meals on Wheels coming to my door as someone who's housebound assures me that I'm not forgotten. They care that I'm okay. My name is Asha Ida Bell. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Stand on the edge of the train station platform. Drive around the boom gates at a level crossing. Run across the tracks between the platforms. They may not rhyme, but they're quite possibly dumbest ways to die.
There's a million dumb ways to die. Don't let it be around buses and trains. Be safe around buses and trains. A message from RTD.
So many dumb ways to die.
Welcome back. November 20th is Transgender Day of Remembrance, an annual reminder that honors the memory of those whose lives were lost in an act of anti-trans violence.
It is also a day of activism to educate people to become allies and take action against anti-trans policies and negative rhetoric.
We have our reporter Tyson Sintas here with us today, who learned everything there is to know about this day. Tyson, with MSU's fall break coming up, there isn't really an opportunity to have our campus honor on the 20th. So how will Aurora recognize this event?
Thank you, Anissa. Thank you, Alex. So there was a couple of events held here on campus yesterday on the 16th that honored this day. One was a gathering for those who identify as transgender, non-binary, or other gender-expensive identities to come together and hold a self-care event. The other event was a workshop for those who don't identify as trans to educate themselves about this remembrance, as well as what actions they can take to make everyone safer. Due to Trans Day of Remembrance falling on the same day as the anniversary of the Club Q shooting in Colorado Springs, there will be a variety of gatherings from now through Monday honoring those lives who were lost in the shooting.
Thank you so much, Tyson. It sounds like an important day for the trans community here on campus.
Residents of the Aurora student lofts have been facing a prolonged hot water outage for nearly 2 months. With the cold weather coming in quickly, residents are resorting to creative solutions for hot showers. The Aurora student lofts in Denver serve students attending the Aurora campus as off-campus apartments. The building's boiler system malfunctioned in mid-September, leaving student tenants without consistent hot water for the last 2 months. After receiving 8 complaints, the Denver Department of Public Health and Environment has been working with the building property management to address concerns and meet the deadline of December 11th for repairs. The boiler requires custom parts, causing delays. To cope, residents have been allowed 30-minute hot showers at the Curtis Hotel that they can sign up for between 9 and 10 p.m. The Campus Recreation Center has also stepped in to help, offering access to locker rooms and free overnight locker rentals for hot showers using a valid campus ID until the apartments can restore their hot water access.
Well, the holidays are right around the corner, and it looks like there might be plenty to be thankful for when it comes to your wallets.
That's right, Alex. Our reporter Cecilia Perez-Najera is letting us know how inflation might be affecting your grocery shopping this time of year.
As we approach Thanksgiving, the cost of your Thanksgiving dinner is expected to be lighter on the wallet compared to last year. According to the American Farm Bureau Federation's 38th annual survey, the average cost of a classic holiday feast for 10 people is $61.17, or less than $6.20 per person. That's a 4.5 decrease from last year's record high average of $64.05. However, it's worth noting that the meal still carries a 25% higher price tag than it did pre-pandemic in 2019. The decrease in cost can be attributed primarily to a more affordable Thanksgiving centerpiece, the turkey. Historically accounting for about 43% of total meal cost, this year's 16-pound frozen whole turkey comes in at $27.35, marking a 5.6 decrease from 2022. The reduction is linked to a decline in avian influenza cases and the recovery of turkey flocks. While the national average sits at $61.17, the cost for the western United States, including Colorado, is slightly higher at $63.89. We talked to Kishore Kulkarni, a professor of economics here at MSU Denver, about the impact of inflation on holiday foods.
That in holiday season, the prices of groceries do go up because we do demand a whole lot more groceries. We have get-togethers, we have parties, we have in general social get-togethers, which probably increase our demand for groceries. And typically they find that in Thanksgiving to Christmas time, there is about higher demand by about 20 to 25% on grocery items. So we do buy a whole lot more. And because that demand goes up, if the supply does not keep it up, prices tend to go up.
We can still expect a price hike in your typical Thanksgiving staples. In a calculation from the American Farm Bureau Federation, some of these items include pumpkin pie mix, dinner rolls, fresh cranberries, sweet potatoes, green peas, and whole milk.
While most Americans are seeing an overall improvement in the cost of their holiday dinners this year, most of them are still wondering how they can get the best bang for their buck this year.
The strategy is to beat the increase in prices. So if you know you are definitely going to use something in say Christmas time or even in Thanksgiving time, you go and buy that before somebody else does.
So as you prepare for your holiday dinners this year, you can take comfort in the fact that at least financially, the feast is a bit more affordable this year. For the MetReport, I'm Cecilia Perez-Najera.
A historical movie theater in Denver's Capitol Hill neighborhood may face a total remodel next year. The Esquire Theater first opened in 1927 as the Hiawatha Theater, a single-screen operation that was part of a wave of new buildings of its kind established during the golden age of American cinema. In the 96 years since then, the Esquire has added a second screen and been acquired by the landmark movie theater chain. Plans were submitted several weeks ago by the owners for a potential overhaul, which would open up space for business of all kinds within the building, whose lease ends in July.
This Wednesday, Ball Arena revealed a brand new statue gracing its entrance today. In partnership with Ball Corp, the infinity symbol sculpture is meant to represent aluminum's infinitely recyclable quality and the sponsor's continued commitment to improving sustainability in both sports and entertainment. The statue is expected to become a focal point for fans and visitors alike as Ball Arena continues to evolve as a cultural and entertainment destination. The statue hopes to serve as a testament to the enduring connection between sports, art, and community.
With an increasing amount of immigrants moving into Denver, shelters around the city are struggling to find resources to support the wave of people. Due to limited resources and a high demand for shelter, families moving into these facilities only have 37 days to stay, and individual adults up to 14. Earlier this year, some nonprofits and organizations helped migrants with their first month's rent, deposits, or application, but now they've run out of funding. Migrants are now forced out of the shelters and onto the streets without any way to get a job or affordable housing. Last Monday, the 6th, a Comfort Inn located at 58th Avenue and Interstate 25 closed down. This was one of the few shelters available for migrants to live in while they try to find jobs and income to start their lives. Tyson Sintas spoke with the director of the Immigrant Services Program here, Gregory Medir, about the crisis and challenges migrants are facing.
Some states, including Florida and Texas, have policies to also bus migrants to other parts of the United States. In Denver, the housing situation is really awful, even for folks who have the means to pay rent, to pay mortgage. It's very difficult to find housing and far more difficult to find affordable housing, along with other factors. So not just the large arrival of migrants, but also things like the housing shortage. And of course, things like inflation or food prices don't help.
Well, Anissa, we've been having an unseasonably warm November, and while it's given us some beautiful days, the question remains when we can expect the winter weather.
It doesn't really feel like Thanksgiving, but here in Colorado, we know that temperatures can change in a moment's notice. So here to tell us the forecast for the fall break is our reporter, Cecilia Perez-Najera.
Thanks, Alex and Anissa. Well, for today's forecast, we're expecting a high of 64 degrees with some light winds coming in west-southwest at 5 miles per hour. For Saturday and Sunday, we're expecting those low temperatures to stick around with an expected high of 62 degrees for Saturday and an expected 59 for Sunday. And as we begin to look into the week forecast, we're seeing some temperatures begin to drop down just in time for Thanksgiving. On Monday, we're expecting a high of 52 degrees with some cloudy weather. On Tuesday and Wednesday, we're seeing that weather start to pick back up with a high of 59 degrees and some sunny weather on Thursday. Just in time for Thanksgiving, those temperatures will drop down to the low 40s with a high of 43. And on Friday, that weather is sticking around with 33 degrees at an expected high and some cloudy weather. So it looks like we're in for some chilliness this year for Thanksgiving, so that might be something you want to prepare for. That's all for this week's forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Cece. Well, Anissa, it looks like we've only got a few days of sun left.
Well, call me a turkey and put me in the oven because I guess I will be roasting.
Stick around, everyone, because after the break, we've still got Miah on the politics block and Tyson with sports.
Welcome to MetReport Politics. I'm Miah and Ntepp, here to bring you everything you need to know about what's going on in the halls of power. A new ballot initiative to ban slaughterhouses within the city of Denver has been gaining steam. Kicked off by animal rights activists, the measure started with an effort to relocate an employee-owned processing plant called Superior Farms off of 49th and Washington Street in North Denver, which specializes in lamb meat. However, the proposal has now grown to ban on any meat processing facilities in the city limits, which would have a major impact on the Colorado agricultural industry and would cost millions in compensation to the owners of the slaughterhouses. The initiative has yet to be approved by the clerk's office, with the groups Pro-Animal Future having submitted their signatures already. On November 13th, Magistrate Jesus Ociel Baena, the first non-binary person to assume a judicial position in Mexican history, was found dead in Aguascalientes, Mexico. The death of Oscar and his partners Dorian Herrera alarmed the LGBTQ community in Mexico and raised questions of whether their deaths were related to the rights of non-binary people. Authorities in Aguascalientes state that Herrera appealed to be responsible for the death of the magistrate, stating that he used razor blades to kill Baena before taking his own life. Marches were organized across Mexico on Monday night to demand authorities conduct a thorough investigation as leaders of the LGBT community in Mexico wonder whether the fast evaluation is consistent with the case's facts. Activists argue the police are dismissing the deaths of people from the LGBTQ community by classifying them as crimes of passion. Now, the verdict in the Elijah McClain case is likely to have a lasting impact on police practicing and accountability measures, serving as a pivotal moment in the quest for justice and reform. I went to interview one of the leaders in Colorado police reform for more insight. Following the trial in which 2 officers were acquitted for the death of Elijah McClain, many are wondering what the current state of policing is or is going in Colorado. I was able to talk to one of the leaders in Colorado police reform, Senator Rhonda Fields. Let's check out to see what she had to say. Senator Fields sponsored the groundbreaking SB 20-217 banning chokeholds and slashing qualified immunity, but she says that after the verdict, there's still much work to be done.
The state of policing in the state of Colorado needs improvement. It needs reform. We have implemented and passed legislation, but we still haven't been able to address the culture and the climate of policing. And that has to be our next steps, because some things cannot be legislated, like morality. So when you think about some of the policing that is taking place in Aurora, when you see babies being handcuffed with their arms behind their back on cement, concrete in a parking lot, that is just not good judgment. And then when you think about what happened in Elijah McClain's case, where you just have somebody just randomly calling law enforcement saying that we see somebody shady. And because of that narrative, the police shows up, they wrestle him, he's on the ground, they chokehold him, they induced him, he's asking to breathe, saying, I can't breathe. He ends up dying because of the excessive force of law enforcement. That level of force was not necessary. A Black man walking is not a crime, and Elijah should be alive today. So I think moving forward, we really need to address the culture and the climate of policing. And people need to come to grips with, just because you're Black and walking doesn't mean that you should lose your life when you encounter law enforcement.
The senator said to look out for updates in the 2024 legislative session as legislators start getting back to work in January. For information on how you can find out your local legislator, go to www.leg.colorado.gov. In a swift turn of events, a homeless encampment that was cleared by the city of Denver just 2 weeks ago has reappeared. Denver faces a resurgence of homelessness encampments after the recent sweep just 2 weeks ago. The camp on 20th and Curtis has sprouted up again. Homeless people at the intersection have made their way down a block to 20th and Champa. This leaves locals questioning the city's approach to homelessness with concerns of the needs of lasting solutions. Officials have not commented, leaving residents anxious. Denver continues grappling with this complex issue, showing the ongoing efforts for comprehensive answers. In a highly anticipated address to the state legislature, Governor Jared Polis presented the annual budget proposal for the upcoming fiscal year, outlining a comprehensive plan that emphasizes investment in education, infrastructure, and social programs. I sat in on the Joint Budget Committee, so you don't have to. I'm outside the Legislative Service Building where Colorado Governor Jared Polis is presenting his annual budget to the Joint Budget Committee. Let's go on inside and see what they had to say. Governor Polis began the presentation by highlighting the state's economic achievements over the past year and acknowledging challenges posed by issues in Congress. Governor Polis's report focused on fostering economic growth and addressing key societal needs like education, housing, and safety in Colorado.
Help with financing costs to actually make sure that ADUs aren't just an empty promise, but they're actually built. Because it's very hard to do with 7.5% mortgage if people have the equity in their home. That was not necessarily an issue we faced 2 years ago. It's a real one now, so we think that's important. Space to create tax credits for new housing units that really can make a community. We've seen Many successful examples like the conversion of an old mill in Loveland to an arts community.
Specifically, the governor plans to invest $39.6 million in evidence-based crime prevention, $564.1 million for K-12 schools, averaging $705 per student, and $136.7 million in a housing package that leverages dollars and tax credits to increase housing supplies throughout the state. Well, that's all there is in the news for this week. Once again, I'm Miah and Ntepp. Don't go anywhere because after the break, we've got sports.
At Metropolitan State University at Denver, our mission is to provide high-quality, accessible education that prepares our students for successful careers, postgraduate education, and lifelong learning in a global and technological society. Our values of diversity, access, and community help us provide opportunities for our students from all over the globe. In fact, we've just been named a diversity champion by Insight into Diversity magazine for 2016. Because at MSU Denver, we believe in transforming lives.
Why are you reading that trash? Read the Metrosphere.
Metrosphere is a magazine that highlights art, literature, and culture on the Rare campus and the surrounding Denver area, created by journalism students while featuring work from English, art, journalism, and design students.
Who are you talking to?
Ballerina.
Sometimes all it takes to be a dad is remembering how to be a kid again. Take time to be a dad today.
Biker Jim's brother.
Hello everyone, I'm Tyson Sintas, and this is your Sports Rundown. Let's kick it off. Soccer can sometimes be a cruel sport. That was proven last Saturday when the Battle Mountain High School Huskies defeated the number one in the state, Northfield Nighthawks, 2-0 at Weiner Field in Colorado Springs. Before the two teams faced off, Northfield had not lost a single game. The Nighthawks had a record of 56-1 over 3 seasons, and it showed that tenacity by controlling possession during the vast majority of the game. Battle Mountain's defense built a brick wall against the Nighthawks throughout the game and successfully withstood a fierce attack that constantly tested their resolution. The Huskies broke out for the first time with a goal from senior midfielder Leo Martinez in the 19th minute, and they continued to smother Northfield's offense. Cooper Skidmore's goal in the 71st minute only served to bury the Nighthawks even more. MSU women's volleyball has officially finished first in the RMAC conference and is on their way to the semifinals. Our reporter Laryss Rodriguez attended last Tuesday's game and provided a recap of the matchup. Let's check it out.
Number 1 MSU Denver women's volleyball is taking on Utah Westminster tonight, and I'm here to see if they ace this game. Let's go check it out. In a thrilling quarterfinal match that had fans on the edge of their seats, the Metro State Denver women's volleyball team emerged victorious over Westminster, securing their spot in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference playoffs. The showdown took place on Friday evening at the Athletic Building, where both teams brought their A-game to the court. The first set saw MSU taking an early lead, displaying impeccable teamwork and powerful spikes. The set concluded with a nail-biting finish, but the Lady Roadrunners managed to clinch it with the score of 25-17. The second set saw Westminster coming back with determination to level the playing field. MSU maintained their composure, ultimately securing the set with a score of 25-23. The third set ended with a resounding victory from the Roadrunners as they close out the match with a score of 25-12. The Lady Roadrunners will face number 4 seed tonight at the Athletic Building once again.
I mean, it's amazing. It's very surprising because I went through definitely a lull in the second set where I
was having a lot of trouble scoring and trying to figure out shots, but I think the whole team, we all just got comfortable and we're pulling straight down into their block, which made it seem really hard for us, and finally figuring out again and making it easier on ourselves as a team. So it was definitely a confidence booster. Like, I feel like scoring in that last set or second set when I felt like I couldn't score at all definitely boosted my confidence a little, and I think also the team's, and we came back even stronger in the third set. I think we're all, like, we've realized how hard we've worked to get to this moment, and we're back here again for the second year, and so we don't want to let ourselves down and not win these next two games. So I think we're definitely working really hard in the gym, at practice, and in each match.
Yeah, for us, it's the losing team has a little bit of advantage in volleyball to kind of tactically do something different. We changed things up a little bit, but our goal was to play Roadrunner volleyball tonight. We knew the things that teams have been attacking on us lately, wanted to do those things a little bit better in general. But we thought if our offense was a good matchup for them and if we were in system, we would control the match.
Feels pretty good, honestly, but we're going to go back to practice and we're going to grind it out because we have two pretty hard matches coming up. But yeah, this is just one step to our goal. So I couldn't do it without our defense and definitely not without our setters. Our setters did a really good job with pushing the ball out to me and both Maddie Williams, the other right side hitter. So yeah, they just did a really good job working with us and bringing us in and out. So Amela Tricia, she brought me in on the A, brought me in on the 2. Like she just worked their defense so I could have better looks. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready to dominate. Like we're all ready to dominate. So, yeah. While the Lady Roadrunners took home the dub, stay tuned as we follow them into the semifinals. For the Met Report, I'm Laryss Rodriguez.
MSU Denver forward Kayla McGill has been named the RMAC Offense Player of the Week in men's basketball. While leading the Roadrunners to a 2-0 start, McGill averaged 22 points, becoming the second best in the league, while shooting 5 of 8 from three-point range and 53.5% from the field. McGill has a career-best 27 points to go with 5 rebounds and 3 blocks in the season opening 101-84 win over Arkansas's Fort Smith, adding on 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 block shots while making all 3 of his three-point tries in a 74-64 win over Oklahoma Christian. McGill is MSU Denver's first Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference Offense Player of the Week. Last night, McGill added 12 points and 5 rebounds in their win over West Texas A&M. The Roadrunners' next matchup will be this Sunday against Fort Hays State. The Colorado Buffaloes football team have been in the news all season long, and in their final home game of the season, our reporters Brandi Rose and Alex Petrich took to this field to catch their game against Arizona Wildcats. Here's more on the story.
Hey guys, I'm Brandi Rose, and once again we are back at Folsom Field to check out the Colorado Buffaloes as they take on the Arizona Wildcats.
Sanders pass complete to number 87, Mikey Harrison. Gain of 7 yards. Touchdown, Colorado.
The Buffs suffered a heart-wrenching last-minute defeat in their final home game of the season, falling to the Arizona Wildcats in a close match that kept fans on the edge of their seats until the very end. The showdown at Folsom began as a celebration, honoring the senior Buffs in their last game on home turf, among them wide receiver Xavier Weaver and tight end Michael Harrison. The first half opened with both teams fighting for dominance. The Buffs took an early lead thanks to an opening drive of 3 plays for 36 yards, ending with a 16-yard rushing touchdown for quarterback Shedeur Sanders. The Wildcats were quick to fight back with DJ Williams putting them on the board, tying it up 8 minutes and 20 seconds into the quarter. These two teams went back and forth throughout this game, with wide receiver Jimmy Horn Jr. scoring a 20-yard pass TD and receiver Jacob Cowling catching the 3-yard reception, tying it up at 14 apiece midway through the second. And after a running touchdown by sophomore Syvion Wilkerson and field goal by Alejandro Mata, the Buffs headed into the locker room at half with a 24-17 lead. With another TD being scored early in the third by wide receiver Tetairoa McMillan, Arizona was back in the game. Colorado knew they had to strike back, and that they did thanks to a 7-yard touchdown reception by Michael Harrison, giving the Buffs the 31-24 lead to close out the third quarter. The Wildcats would be the only team to score in the final quarter of this game, as they took home the victory with a walk-off field goal, winning 34-31. Despite the loss and the struggles of the offensive line, Shedeur and the Buffs put up one of their best offensive performances of the season, with Shedeur leading the team in both rushing and pass yards, two-position player Travis Hunter dominating both sides of the ball, and of course, the strong performances of their senior players. This revamped Buffs team is optimistic for their future behind first-year coach Deion Sanders, who emphasized the improvement he sees from his team each and every week. And Buffs fans can't wait to see what's next.
Well, it was an emotional day here at Folsom Field, one that ultimately ended in defeat for Deion Sanders and the Buffaloes as Arizona kicked a field goal in the final seconds to run out the clock and win 34-31. This was the last Buffs home game of the season. Their next two games will be against Washington State and Utah, both on the road. For the Met Report, I'm Alex Petrich.
After starting the season off 0-2, MSU women's basketball hopes to earn their first win of the season as they await their home opener at the Auraria Event Center. As the Roadrunners approach their opening 5-game homestand, the focus is not just on the immediate games ahead, but setting the tone for a successful season. Coming off a strong postseason run, this team stressed the importance of coming together and being cohesive as a group both on and off the court. The Roadrunners boast talented newcomers, but despite the new faces, the same goal remains, and coaching, staff, and players alike are committed to bringing their A game and establishing themselves as the formidable contenders in the RMAC, where they currently rank as the 7th seed. Our reporter Brandi Rose got the opportunity to talk to head coach Tanya Javi, the winningest coach in school history, about the work her team has been putting into early season prep.
So just trying to get them to get used to each other, trusting each other, playing together, and things like that. And we've played some really, really tough teams, so we're learning some lessons on the run. So I'm throwing them in the deep end, and they're doing really well so far. Sometimes you get that experience only in games. I mean, you can practice and practice and practice, and sometimes just take some game experience to get that done.
And that's the end of the regulation. I have been Tyson Sintas for MetReport Sports. I'll throw it back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Tyson.
Well, that's going to bring an end to our show. We'll be off next week for Thanksgiving break. Well, Alex, how is your NBA fantasy team going?
Well, I am 1-1, but it's looking grim right now. I am currently losing to our sports producer, who's up in the booth, Brandi. And what about you?
Fortunately, I am winning against the beautiful Laryss Rodriguez. So sorry. Unfortunately, Draymond Green is costing me points for his suspension. So get on that.
There's a lot of basketball left in the season.
And hopefully, we'll see.
Absolutely.
For more news on what's happening here on campus in Denver and throughout Colorado, make sure to subscribe to our Met Report on YouTube.
And go to mymetmedia.com. Thank you for joining us. Have a nice break, everyone.